so much in this day and age.
And one cool thing that you talked about as well is like you and I met at the conference FinCon, like you said earlier. And the cool thing about building relationships, if you go to conferences or things like that, first of all, you can accelerate your learning. But in addition, you can also build these relationships. So is that something that you would recommend, is going to conferences potentially to meet new people, especially in a specific industry?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like, and I get, if you're an introvert, I'm an extrovert, but I still get nervous trying to introduce myself to somebody else, because there's always this fear of like, are they just going to look at me like I'm annoying, I'm bothering them? But when I think about all the conferences that I went to, when I was intentional about just introducing myself, like, hey, it's the same thing, right? It's like, hey, it's good to meet you. I really admire you, what you're doing. Really love that video, this blog post, this project, and just get a chance to know them and just be curious, about them. And just that type of strategy has paid off dividends. And just once again, how could I help other people? Coming back from the conference you and I met at FinCon, I had people I connected with the first time there, and then afterwards, like, hey, how can I help you? Like, anything that you're working on, I can help promote. Like, let me know, and I'm happy to promote it. Either bring you on the podcast, bring you on the YouTube channel. There's somehow I can promote you, like quote you in Forbes or some other publication, anything to get your message out, because it sounds like you're really passionate about what you're working on. And I get really excited about somebody else's passion for whatever their work. So anything I can do to help propel them, I mean, that's that gift that keeps on giving.
Absolutely. And that is the coolest thing about relationships. There's so many opportunities that open up, and it's not just about the opportunities, it's the relationship that you built where you can kind of build things together. And that's one of the coolest things that comes out of that. So if someone's heard about all 5 of these income accelerators now, do you recommend, if they're thinking through this and they're like, I'm not doing any of these, I should start going through this process and figure out which ones I need to go through? Do you recommend that they start with one at a time, or should they start with maybe a few at a time and see what happens at that point?
Yeah, I think it comes down to the ICE method. ICE is like, all right, which one's going to have the most impact? Which one is the most convenient? And what's the one that's like you can have just more emphasis, or just something that you can work on right now? And from there, to me, it's like, I feel like books, podcasts is pretty simple, But I think before we even start that, it's, what are you trying to accomplish? What is the goal? And you have to almost like reverse engineer. I kind of call it the RAP method, right? Results in advanced planning, to where it's like, all right, what is the desired result? What am I trying to accomplish? Okay, that's my goal. Going back to my YouTube example, like, all right, I want to build a YouTube channel. I didn't have like a subscriber goal. I just wanted to start it and if I can get to 1,000, that would be awesome. End up getting to 10,000. So the next goal is like, man, I wanted to get to 100. So that was the result. And then it's like, all right, reverse engineer, like the types of videos, the thumbnails, the headlines, how I record the content, all this stuff, right? Goes into all the beginning steps. And that's like, all right, that's why the course made the most sense for what I was trying to achieve in that moment. So until you can identify the goal, I mean, you're going to be throwing darts. Something might stick eventually, but it's going to be a whole lot easier when you know exactly what you were trying to achieve. All right, this is what I want. Now what do I need? So now you can start go into Amazon, start looking at different Kindle books that you can buy. Go into Audible, see what books maybe you can download. Go into iTunes or Spotify. Start searching for whatever keyword is going to find those podcasts. And then all of a sudden, man, you just start digesting all this newfound wealth of information that you didn't know existed. And all of a sudden, that's when the energy, all the ideas start coming. And then all of a sudden, you'll just start finding what you didn't even know existed. And you start getting closer to the answer, getting closer to that desired result.
Absolutely. And I know that exact feeling because it just lights you on fire. It's one of the things that just kind of, once you realize this new information exists, it makes you so motivated going forward. And it's one of the coolest things that you can definitely do. So one of the things that I want to do is shift gears here, because we have questions that we ask a lot of guests, and it's really interesting on some of these questions. Some of them are deep. Some of them are just interesting to hear the different answers on some of these guests. So what part of your work or life makes you come alive?
Man, when I get, it's usually a comment, just because I don't get a chance to meet a lot of the reader subscribers in person, but coming back from FinCon, just it was so refreshing to go back. This is a conference I've been going to for like I think 11 years, but I hadn't gone like the last 3 years. And there were so many cool stories. And one of them, just to share real quickly, was it was this young man, 30 years old, that tells me that he's been watching my videos since he was 18. And I'm like, why? But it was cool because he's like, man, when I started watching your stuff, like I didn't know anything about finance. I was broke. I was struggling with debt. Fast forward, he's 30 years old now. Him and his brother have a financial planning practice. They currently have 30 employees, and they're making a huge impact in their community, helping others achieve wealth. And it's like, just to know that I was a little spark, in the first part of his journey, hearing more of those stories. Somebody commented on my YouTube channel telling me how similar story. They started watching saw my Roth IRA video, one of the ones I did like 10 years ago. And at that point in time, they had a negative net worth, hadn't even started investing. Fast forward to today, they have over 6 figures saved in their Roth, just in their Roth alone. And they're like thanking me for publishing that video. Looking back, I'm glad I bought the $97 course because it was okay. But, had I not had that course, it would have been horrific. But anyway, those are the things that give me life. Knowing that something that I did stirred something up in somebody to take action that now has impacted not only their life, but we're talking generational wealth, right? I mean, this is something that completely changed their life, can change their kid's life. I mean, that's the stuff that keeps me going.
I love that. And one big thing for people listening, if you haven't watched Jeff's YouTube channel before, that is one that had a major impact on me as well for a very long time. So it's one that we'll definitely have it linked up in the show notes, but it is one that you definitely need to check out if you have not already, because it is one of the best channels by far on YouTube. So that is amazing as well. From 18 to 30 is absolutely incredible. I love that. So the second one is, what is the best money advice you have ever received?
Ooh, that's a good one. It's cliche, but it's only cliche until you fully understand, until you have some personal examples. But it is that you are your best investment. Like, you are going to get the largest ROI investing in yourself. And you hear that, it's stated everywhere. And I go back to the coaching program, right? Like, I am my best investment. I invested $8,000 into myself to be a better version of me. And what I didn't share previously was, so I did that. After the first year, guess how much my income went up?
How much?
Nothing. Flat. So I actually lost money, technically speaking, because I signed up again for the second year. So now I'm down 16 grand and I've not made any more money. But looking back, what happened was, as I mentioned, I had to reprogram just the way I was thinking, the way that I was approaching business and all this stuff, right? And so I'm a little stubborn, so it took me a while. Fast forward, after the third year of being in that program, so $8,000, now $8,000. At the end of that third year, I went from making just under $250,000 to making almost $750,000. My income almost tripled. And that is investing $16,000 and not just getting $500,000 return. We're talking $500,000 recurring, because that happened again the next year and the next year and the next year. I mean, tell me of some stock or ETF or some crypto, some coin where you got that type of ROI. And that's just one example of investing in myself where I've seen that type of exponential return.
Absolutely. It's the highest ROI that you can have is investing in yourself. That is amazing. I love that. And then the third one, this is a big one that I love to ask everyone. We've had all different people from all different backgrounds on this show, and the answer usually comes back differently for a lot of people. So it's interesting to hear this one. I need to make like a compilation of all the answers in one episode one day. But this is one of my favorite questions. So what does wealth mean to you?
Man, that's good. Get some good questions. What does wealth mean to me? Wealth means to me is having control of my time. Wealth means to me that every single day I get to take my kids to school. Every single day I get to pick up my kids from school. I get to coach my kids in sports if they'll allow me. My kids are getting a little bit older now. My oldest is 15. So they're a little bit more I'm only YouTube certified to be like a coach, so that only takes me so far. But I have this opportunity where I think about my dad. Like I only played basketball like 5th and 6th grade, and there were some games that he couldn't make it because he was working, and he was providing for his family. Like kudos to him, right? Well, I get to be at every single game, and I get to coach, and I get to pick up my kids from school, and I get to be present. That is something that, I've got 4 kids. So like in my every single day, yes, I get to pick up my kids from school so they can complain because they're hungry and they've got homework. Like, there are some days where I'm like, hell, do I really have to pick them up? But truth be told, like, it is something that just focusing on the gratitude aspect it's that control of time. Get to do what I want. And also like, we get to live the life that we want. We take the vacations we want. We buy the things that we want. We eat out what we want, when we want, where we want, within reason. But it's like we get to do all that without ever having to worry, oh, can we afford that? Like, I can't remember the last time that I before I did something, I was like, oh, man, I don't know if we can really afford that. Like, I haven't felt that in probably over a decade. To me, like, that's what wealth is.
I absolutely love that answer, and it's the coolest thing what wealth can provide, with freedom with your time and your energy and everything else. It is one of the most amazing things. So, Jeff, this has been an amazing conversation. I'm so excited we got to have you on. So where can people learn more about you, Good Financial Sense, Wealth Hacker, your book, everything else, all your socials, everything?
Yeah, so goodfinancialsense.com, that is the blog. You can also check me out, Wealth Hacker. You can search Jeff Rose on YouTube and find Wealth Hacker. Right now, I am really active on Twitter. I have like this kind of like I did with YouTube years ago, where I kind of like got in love with it again. Like Twitter was something I loved for a while, kind of take a break. And so if you want to hit me up on Twitter, at JJeffRose, that's 2 J's, JJeffRose, same handle for Instagram as well. So hit me up on any of those places.
Absolutely. That's amazing. We'll link all of those up down in the show notes as well. Jeff, thank you so much for coming on. This was so fun.
Thanks for having me.